Hi, thank you so much for joining us today. I am Xenia Woltman, a fiduciary advisor at Rochester Wealth Strategies. We are located in downtown Rochester. Quick blurb, we're fiduciary fee only and independent, so always acting in our client's best interest and choosing to do so. And there's no parent company with their own product line, so we're able to research and create strategies based on what we feel will fit our clients' needs. Now, we're always happy to answer any questions, even if it's not relevant to us, or help guide you to someone that can help, which is why I am so excited to partner with Navigate Home. And I say it all the time, but it's true. It's important not just for seniors, but everyone to have a trusted resource to reach out to for guidance and expertise. I love to work with a group of people that think and act in a way of how can I help and truly mean it. So, if you're not familiar with Navigate Home, please check out the Facebook page. There are so many people that can assist with literally anything you might need. So today we're going to cover budgeting and planning. We'll discuss what budget and financial plans are, why they're important, even in retirement, and how to go about creating one if you haven't already, and also how to make it work for you. So some of you may already be familiar with a budget, and this little portion may be a little bit redundant, but hopefully you'll learn something, or get some guidance, something that we can help with. So at the end, I'll provide some information on how to reach us if you have any questions. But we also have some resources available. So I'll bring things up. If you would like a copy of anything, we can email them to you, etc. So as the title reads, it's not about your age, it's about your stage in life. So I've been doing this for 20 years. I joke around and tell everyone I started when I was 8. I might be off by about 10 years on that, but I have seen 20-some-year-olds with tremendous savings. I've also seen retirees that have lost nearly everything due to unforeseen circumstances and have no idea what to do next. So whether you're growing assets, spending them, or just trying to protect what you have, it's important to plan, and have a roadmap to ensure that you're not going to hit any stumbling blocks. So when we talk about budgeting and planning, many people think of them as two completely different parts of finance, how to spend versus how to save. But they really do work together. Now, you can have a standalone budget, but you really can't create an accurate financial plan without a budget. So what is a budget? It's simply how much is coming in, your income, minus how much is going out, your spending. And hopefully you'll have a surplus at the end of the month. If you don't, it's okay. There are a few steps you can take. Review the budget for costs that you can reduce or eliminate. If you have debt, look into refinancing at a lower payment and rate, or generate more income. So working more hours, if you're still working, asking for a raise, why not? Maybe starting something part-time or seasonal. Something else to think about, especially in retirement, is a hobby. Now, for example, my husband loves woodworking. I love crafting, painting, you name it. I love to do it. But if you love gardening, photography, knitting, you're growing more vegetables than you can possibly consume, or you love quilting, is there something that you enjoy doing now that you can turn into an income stream? So different things to think about. Now, moving on, an easy way to track your spending is to kind of look over maybe 3 months of banking credit card statements. Start listing the average cost of your expenses. So we also have a sample budget checklist available for you. Again, I'll bring it up at the end, but you don't have to start from scratch. A budget doesn't necessarily limit your spending or prevent you from doing what you like. Even if you have plenty of income and don't spend nearly as much, it's still important to create one and amend it regularly to see which areas are increasing over time, and also to plan for future expenses. So some things that clients maybe tend to forget about in planning over time are expenses that will go away. Childcare, I am looking forward to that, I'm not forgetting it. Debt payoffs. Quitting working might mean less gas, meal, and clothing expenses. Also new expenses, healthcare, medications, mortgage payoffs. So if you have a $1,500 mortgage, and you pay it off, you may have maybe $500 a month in taxes and interest that you've been paying. So those also come in lump sums twice a year. So you may want to, reanalyze that. Also, those hobbies that we talked about that you love. And also expenses that you may take on over time as you become less able or just choose not to manage. So maybe it's lawn care, maintenance, eating out, deliveries, etc. Those little things do add up. So while the main purpose of budgeting is to find a realistic way to eliminate debt and not overspend, it's important to remember that there are many different options on how to manage a budget or tackle debt. There is not one solution that I can think of for everyone. For some, debt is a four-letter word. For others, it's a strategy or tool in financing, especially for business owners. So it's all a matter of what works for you. Now, I took one of those courses, the financial courses that has a step-by-step take on budgeting and paying down debt. I know how to budget. Now, if my husband's watching, he may not agree because while I know how to, I don't always, especially this time of year. But I had heard about the course from several clients and I was curious. So always open to new ideas, want something to learn. And I liked it a lot. It was a great course. But while I could see myself trying to follow the specifics and the rigidity of the process and meeting that end goal, I knew I would fail miserably. And so here's why. And I want to touch on this because it's not usually covered. So there's an emotional or maybe even psychological aspect to this. I'm not an expert in that, but to spending. So, and it's not easy to overcome. My personal example, I love my lattes. Anyone that knows me knows that. They taste better than regular coffee. I've tried every creamer out there, etc. I can't make it at home. I get to the coffee shop, it smells wonderful, it's calming, makes me happy. Now, think about that. I'm not buying clothes or a car, it's a coffee, right? The thought of not being able to make that purchase, it's frustrating and in a sense almost insulting. I'm working hard, it's a coffee. So when you think about it though, for some, a $4 coffee, $4+ coffee really is frivolous. But there's an emotion there. I enjoy it, I like it. So what do I do? Well, exactly what I would recommend you do in a similar situation. Put it in your budget on paper and account for it. I was drinking 5 lattes a week, at least, every week, sometimes more. Doing the math, that was $30 a week, $120 a month. Now, that may seem like peanuts to some or, utterly ridiculous to others, but I kind of fell in that middle ground. I thought, it's a lot, but how can I still have my caffeine and, save some money? So did some research and I requested a latte machine for Christmas. This was 4 years ago, roughly $150. My new cost per month is maybe $30. So the convenience, though, is just amazing. I have it in my kitchen. It's caused my caffeine intake to go up substantially, which is another issue altogether. But in truth, if I had gone back, stuck to the same number of lattes that I had, I'm probably only spending $15 a month. Add in the 2 to 3 that I buy, that's maybe $30 a month, not per week. Plus, I've done research. I found a local place that has great deals, cheaper lattes, but now it's very convenient to make it at home, so I don't want to go out and do that. So if that thought of having that metaphorical latte is important to you, put it on paper. It's getting hair done, eating out, paying for a hobby or sport, expensive watch, a vacation, whatever it is, put it on paper in that budget. Once you put a number to it, you can first make sure it's affordable, but second, decide, is it truly worth it? Because your perspective will start to change when you compare it to the big picture and your end goals. Now, this is just one way to do things. If you have a different mindset or way of thinking, customize it to you. Once you've created that budget, take stock of your current assets and debts, not just income and payments, but how much you owe. So create a balance sheet, but extend it a little bit for the purpose of planning. Now, again, if you like, we can send you a template. You don't have to start from scratch. On one side, make 5 columns to list your assets. Column 1, list everything you have that has a tangible value. Include your home, auto, collectibles, investments, bank accounts, again, anything of value. Next to that in column 2, list the value of each asset. For the purpose of budgeting, that's all you'll need. But for planning, we'll want the next 3 as well. So column 3, you'll want to show how it's titled. Individually, joint, are there beneficiaries? Is it a trust? Is it retirement, etc.? If it's applicable, in column 4, what's the rate of interest that you're earning on it? And in the final column, the purpose for that asset. And that's a little different. So for example, obviously, if it's a retirement account, it's meant for retirement. But are you planning to sell that second home in a couple years to purchase something else? Is it created for college? Do you have a piece of jewelry that you want to pass on to an heir? Those are things that are important to know. So at the bottom, once you've done all that, create a subtotal of all the values. Now on the other side of the page, we're going to create the same number of columns but different headings. So column 1, what type of debt is it? Mortgage, credit card, student loan, etc. Column 2, how much you owe. The third column is what is the interest rate. Fourth column, how much is your payment. Fifth column, who owes that debt? Is it you and someone else? Is it just you? How is it, who's taking that on? So now again, we'll need the first 4 for budgeting, 5 for planning, and that's a future subject. So at the bottom, you create that subtotal as well, subtract that from your assets, and now you have your net worth. More importantly, you have everything on one sheet of paper that will allow you to determine the best way to pay down that debt, including any assets that you could have to pay things off faster, and how much you have to work with in regards to planning. So one, it's important to have emergency funds, and there's of course completely different thoughts on this. Maybe your comfort level is only $500, maybe it's 12 months of income. So whatever is important to you, what you're comfortable with for emergency funds, start with that. Now with all of that, if you're unsure of how it works, you're unsure of your options, contact an advisor or a trusted resource for assistance, because the next step would be, if you're earning 0.25% on a savings account and it's much higher in value than what you need for emergencies, maybe pay down something, but find the right strategy. So when you take all that information and put it together, it's really most of what you need for a financial plan. So now we're not just looking at numbers, but we're understanding priorities. So planning, why is it important? Well, a builder doesn't look at a drawing and start sawing away, of course. They create a design and a step-by-step process on how to create that structure. They bring those plans to their client with a cost and time estimate. How many times, though, have you heard it's going to cost more? A storm came through, damaged the subroofing material, we have to tear it down and rebuild. I don't even know if that's a real thing, so just bear with me on that. With the financial plan, you're able to create a step-by-step process to meet your financial goals that can change with you. So that's essentially what a financial plan is in a nutshell. It takes your goals, current and future income sources, assets, and several other factors and determines your chance of success. Now, in retirement, it works to create a more efficient plan to spend down and protect assets. So it's just as important to create and review your financial plan in retirement as it is prior. A good analogy that we use quite often is climbing a mountain. You're planning for the ascent, but it's just as important to plan for the descent because it's equally dangerous, and that's where we see most unfortunate climbing incidents. So this sounds like a lot, but I promise the hard part was already done in that last step of creating the budget and balance sheet. So as we know, life changes constantly. Your goals, income, expenses are going to change. It's important to review your budget and financial plan regularly, at least annually. If we start seeing higher healthcare costs, we want to accommodate for that. If you decide to downsize into a smaller house or apartment, what's the best way to invest or disperse those proceeds? Planning does not mean investing, but investing is an important part of the planning process. I do want to briefly mention, it is so often overlooked. Anyone who knows me knows I almost preach on this. It is so very important. It's titling. Look at how your assets are titled. Now, a tough way to bring this up, but maybe not so harsh, is imagine you had passed away a week ago. What would your loved ones be doing now? Outside of the obvious, but financially, will your assets be divided as you wished or dispersed? Is it going to be an easy process to transfer? Does it have to go through probate? Now, we can touch on this in a future presentation, but I cannot stress enough how important it is to have proper titling. So we're going to take it one step further. Once you've determined how much income you need to determine the most efficient way to take that income and invest your funds. There is no cookie cutter approach to this, and there is no recommendation that I can make now that would fit the needs of everybody here, except for this, and there's a few. Meet with a professional. Understand your options, your costs, the benefits. Ask questions and be comfortable in your decision. So if you can't sleep at night, it doesn't matter if it looks good on paper. It's not right for you. When I spoke earlier about being a fiduciary, it's important to make sure that you're choosing someone that you trust will work in your best interest, always. Are they offering the best options available that are in line with your financial plan? So, for example, if you only need to make 5%, are they recommending someone that takes on additional risk? Make sure your advisor knows your goals, and it's stating the obvious, but it's true, and that you meet regularly, and you're able to make changes without additional costs or time commitments unless it's really truly relevant. So, in that that's really us in a nutshell. And there are two things I love about what I do, as does many people that do what I do, and again, navigate home a wonderful team, is one, we love building relationships with our clients, just getting to know them, being a part of helping them meet their goals, and being a trusted resource. It's helping others. It's very enjoyable. So the other part I love is putting it all together behind the scenes. So I love to work with my partners, whether at the office, at Navigate Home, etc., and create that roadmap for clients. It's a great experience. I love puzzles. I could do them all day. So I'm going to move on from there. I want to share my screen. I'm going to try to make this happen. If not, I will get this to you. But the forms that we talked about, let me see. I don't know where to share this screen. Okay, so the forms that we talked about, I'm just going to bring up again verbally. The budget worksheet. It's a list of items that you may have in your budget or may not. You may not think about it, but it helps kind of put it all on track. The personal balance sheet, just like we discussed, those 5 columns of assets and 5 columns of debts, put it all together. Financial tips. Now, this is kind of a compilation of best practices that our president, Dominic Garcia, put together, and it's got some great tips and ways to manage your assets and your finances. Final wishes is another form that we have. It's actually several pages, and it's really an instruction for loved ones. If that's not necessarily out there, maybe it's who to call, what to do, passwords, wishes, etc. Also, identity theft information. If you've lost a wallet or purse, what do you do there? So I want to bring up our information. Now we can email this to you, we can send it. You can contact us at navigatehomepros@gmail.com. That is on the Facebook page. You can also reach me at Xenia, it's Xenia, at rochesterwealthstrategies.com. Again, it's Xenia, Xenia, at rochesterwealthstrategies.com. That's all one word. Numbers for Navigate Home, 248-765-1258. For myself, 248-434-6550. So I want to thank you so much for joining me today. I hope this was useful and helpful. I would love to hear your feedback. Thank you again.